Hey guys, welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine, and we are back again with another daily show. And today we will be doing a reaction to Rob Walter's press conference ahead of the New Zealand game. So we're going to get some insights from him and see what he had to say going into this particular fixture. And also after that tight encounter against Pakistan, probably get some insight from him regarding that as well. We're going to be obviously trying to dissect where his mind is and where he's at. We've been getting quite regular videos from the Proteas throughout this World Cup campaign, which is really good for us to analyze and speak about. So that's something that I think is nice from a fan's perspective because it's got given us some content to dive into. But before we get going, before we get started, there's a couple of things I'd like you guys to please do. If you're new to this channel and you haven't subscribed quite yet, please subscribe to the channel. Click that notification bell for all future videos. Don't forget to also subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine Monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. You can also show your support for what we are doing here. And if you want us to continue with what we are doing at Cricket Fanatics Mag, then please get involved with the Patreon account. The link is on the screen as well as in the description. You can smash the like button, comment, and share on your way in. And go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all your regular updates. So without wasting any more time and yeah, without further ado, let's get straight into today's video. A very good evening and welcome to Cricket Fanatics Magazine. This is your daily show. I'm your host, Khalid, and this is the show where we talk about all the major talking points in South African cricket. And it comes after a weekend that was great from a South African perspective. South Africa beating Pakistan in what was a comeback chase, and it was quite a nail-biting one, and it was quite refreshing or quite relieving to be able to get a victory over the line and keep our chances for a knockout spot or semi-final spot alive. And then it was followed up by South Africa, the Booker, beating New Zealand in the World Cup final to become the first team to win 4 World Cups. And to defend their title, they also managed to do something that New Zealand did a couple of years ago for the first time. Now South Africa did it as well with a 1 point victory. What a way to start the weekend. But for us, our fellow Cricket Fanatics magazine fans out there, from a Man United perspective, it didn't really end that well with us getting slaughtered by our bitter rivals, Manchester City. But that's not what we're going to be speaking about on today's show. We obviously know that there is a match coming. It's to be very on our doorstep currently. I think we are around the corner. We have a massive match. We win that match, and it puts our names into the semi-final bracket quite. It's gonna probably be quite almost confirmed with us being able to lose maybe the last 2 games by a certain amount for us to guarantee a semi-final spot. But beating the Kiwis will be obviously give us a massive boost for a semi-final spot, and it's something that not a lot of fans maybe thought would happen. So I think it's a brilliant place to start today's show, obviously, to talk about this particular press conference that this took place. It's something from Rob Walter, a reaction. We're going to react to it, as well as is his little press conference interview that he did, or press conference that he did. And let's see what he had to say, because it will give us some nice insight into where the Proteas are and what they're thinking currently heading into this particular clash. And it will give us something to speak about as well when it comes to this particular show. So let's get straight into it and let's see what Rob Walter had to say.
Rob, a bit of a crunch time for you guys, the World Cup now, two big games lined up. How much of the mental aspect comes into facing the Black Caps on Wednesday, seeing that the record is not that great against them at a World Cup?
Yeah, I suppose we will best endeavour just to keep following the process that's got us to this point. Really, for us, we see it as a really cool opportunity over the next two games to play. The other two top sides in the competition so far. Um, Continue to put our game against theirs and see how it stacks up. We played some really good cricket so far. You could argue against lesser competition if you wanted to, based on the log positions. But in our mind, it's really about seeing if we can continue to replicate the way we've been playing against New Zealand next, and then India to follow.
Thanks, Morgan. We're going to go tennis.
Yeah, it's going to be a massive test, not only from a technical point of view and our processes to test our processes, but it's also going to be a mental challenge for South Africa to try and get over the line. It's something that it's a team that has shown amazing strength. I mean, even against Australia, even though Australia got a massive total on the board, they almost chased that total. So they're a good chasing side as well as a good setting side. So we're going to have to have our A game. We're going to have to really stick to our basics and stick to our processes and do what, like Rob said, what has worked for us so far in this tournament. So tough match. I'm excited for it, of course, because we always want a good contest. Um, and we'll obviously do a preview ahead of this particular game tomorrow evening. But yeah, let's just get this reaction of Rob out of the way and talk about this. But you always need to go back to your basics and see how if you can test it against the best. And this is now the opportunity. This is the run where we're going to be able to almost have, you could say, mini preparations for the semifinals because and the final if we can get there, because these are two teams that are most likely going to make those knockouts if everything goes in to plan for them personally. So yeah, let's continue with this video because I'm hoping that there's some more good things said here that we can analyze.
Then Hyde.
How's it, Rob? Just two quick questions from me, if I may. The first one's just what did you guys make of the box? Were you guys watching? How were the nerves this time around? And maybe just a message to them, and then also maybe what you guys can take from that. And secondly, just quickly, your experience as a coach in New Zealand. Does that count for anything when you come up against them on the international stage?
Okay, to the first question, yeah, we were all together for the game.
Brilliant.
The boys love their rugby, so it was awesome to share that moment and experience together. I think it's all been said before about the Springbok side. They continue to inspire and give hope. Certainly to us as a team, they do exactly that. To see what they've done and the levels that they've reached is just an inspiration for us as a team, really. And to the second question, obviously conditions are very different here than they are to New Zealand. I think Ken looks like he's more in New Zealand with that beanie on. Certainly, we haven't seen a beanie for the last 6 weeks, but I guess there's some local knowledge in terms of their players, and I've worked with a fair number of them and played against pretty much every one of them. So, quality cricketers stay quality cricketers. If it was just as easy as doing your scouting or your prep against them, and that was the end of it, it would be a pretty easy game. So they've been playing really good cricket. A little bit of inside info on them, and we'll see how that stacks up on the day.
Yeah, I'm hoping that he would have coached some of the players that are maybe part of this team and or played against them so that he can have some plans or insights on them. That will obviously do us wonders going into this World Cup fixture. So not a really fleshed out answer over there, but positive that I like, and that this team watched this final together as a group. I think that is a great exercise as well to get everybody um, closer on as a unit, as a team, and as a and bring the togetherness at the forefront when it comes to building a team ethos, etc. With this team. So I do like it when teams do like have activities, do activities together to try and bring them closer together off the field as well, because it will bleed over onto the field. I think that's very, very important from a team perspective.
Thanks, Tennis. Heinz?
How's it, Rob? I know you guys have been, the guys have been saying, that they're not trying to listen to too much outside noise and stuff, but you guys don't feel, particularly after that World Cup win of the Springboks and the fact that you guys have actually won 5 out of 6, that there's sort of like a sense, that it's over to you guys now to sort of like almost replicate what they've achieved. There's you guys don't feel any increased pressure now, to actually like really make this very good start, truly count?
To be honest, I think winning the World Cup for cricket is as much as now as it was before. I don't think it's become any more because the Boks have won. I think for us it's an inspiration really as to how they won. And hopefully that can be the thing that catalyzes us moving forward even more so than the cricket we've played already. It seems like maybe the media attention will shift to us now. But yeah, to be honest, we've spoken about it as a team as to what we can take from that, as opposed to how it impacts us from a pressure point of view. Rugby is rugby. They've done very well over a long period of time. They've doubled up on World Cups. We're yet to get over that line. So really trying to take care of our own business and take the learnings and inspiration from the rugby side.
Yeah, there's been pressure on South Africa, the cricket team, to win a World Cup for years now. So that pressure wouldn't have changed regardless of what the Boks did or has done. That pressure's always been on there because we've never gotten over the line before. At least we could take the fact that the Boks already won it 3 times, So this fourth time was incredible to witness the history that was made. But it's just about drawing inspiration from the Bok team, about the way they conduct themselves as a team unit. I think that's mainly, and how they stay focused and what they're playing for is it's not just for themselves, like they always say, it's for the country, for the adversity that happens here in South Africa, etc. I think that's maybe something that the Proteas can obviously feed off, is that they're not just playing for themselves, they are playing for this country as well. So yeah, I don't want them to obviously read too much into that and feel extra pressure now. The pressure's always been there to win a World Cup as a Proteas unit.
Thanks, Heinz. Chad, then Telford.
Thanks, Lucy. Hi, Rob. To show you, it is actually 12 degrees in Germany today, so quite a few degrees aside. Just on, how we finished the game on Saturday, winning by 1 wicket, sort of can draw similarities to how the Springboks have been winning by 1 point on that side. But how pleased are you, with that mental fortitude shown at the death there by Kesh and Shamil? It's also sort of a box ticked in terms of us not choking at the death there. And then just a status update, secondly, on Quinny and KG, who was obviously rested in the last game. And any other niggles heading into Wednesday?
On the niggles front, everyone's pretty good to go. We've had a couple of days breather. Obviously, we played 3 games in 6 days, so the guys have had some time off, and we'll fire up again tomorrow. But at this point in time, we've got a full bill of health, which is great. Yeah, I mean, sorry, what was the first question? I've lost my trail of thought.
Picking the box and showing them mental fortitude.
Yeah, sorry. Yeah, I mean, as you know, like winning ugly is a thing, right? In the past, maybe we've been guilty of losing those games that we should win. we certainly made tough work of it, a lot tougher than we needed to. However, for me, the most significant part of the win really was that the tail showed the responsibility and the thinking to get us over the line. As I said to the guys after the game, those guys at the tail could easily have just thrown caution to the wind, played some expansive shots, and no one would have really questioned that, given that the expectation is low. But we've invested very much into our tail order batting. We've given them time, knowing that being in this situation is going to happen. It happened and potentially could happen again. So being able to get us over the line is hugely important. I know they take great pride in their batting. As much as Shamo says he's only scored 4 runs this year, he'll tell you that he scored about 100 in the nets. So I'm glad that he was able to score 4 of them for us when it counted. So no, it was a great win. Obviously, it creates a bit of belief in different areas because we've been very strong in other areas of our batting, but creates a little bit of belief, as the tail wagged in Dharamshala as well. So if we are called upon again, hopefully they're able to deliver the same result.
Hopefully they don't face that type of situation again. That was a game where our senior players needed to take us over the line. It wasn't like they needed to chase a hell of a lot of runs when we put a platform down like we did. I would like to see our players, like, for example, Markram, when they get themselves into positions as strong as that when we are chasing, that they remain there at the end. A good example of that is someone like Virat Kohli that showed that in this particular tournament. So I would like us to take that type of learnings from this game, that we don't want to put ourselves in that situation again, that we were faced with that and we were able to overcome that, but we don't want a repeat of that. When a player is in, like Markram, close to 100, you want to see him actually get over that line. In this particular game, there wasn't a need for him to not be selfish, if I could put it that way. He could have batted for his 100 and let that be the focus, and we could have still gotten over the line. There was enough balls to do both. So I know that he went he went after a ball that he thought he could hit out the park. No need for that shot. Rotation of strike would have been perfectly fine, and a boundary where you can if there's a bad ball. But we need to remain calm under pressure and in those chases. That's the most important thing that we need to focus on when it comes to these games. It's something that we can't panic when those things happen. So, for example, like New Zealand against Australia, they never stopped believing that they could chase down that score. Yes, they fell short, but that's the type of attitude you want from a team. You want them to push until the end, and they need to keep the guys that have their eye in need to be the ones that take the game by the scruff of the neck and lead the others. You want your tail enders to face the least amount of balls as possible. Even your 7, 8, and 9, your 7 and 8s, you want them to face the least amount of balls possible. You almost want your in batter to farm the strike, and your senior batters as well. Your top 6 ultimately, if any of them are in, they need to take majority of the strike. And I want to see South Africa do that and implement that in chases. Keep on pressing the wrong button. Sorry, guys.
Thanks. We're going to go to Telford, then Stu.
Thanks, Mercy. Apologies, I'm in a cafe, so it may be a bit noisy. I just wondered, those of us here in Pune, it does seem as if something has shifted in South Africa's relationship with pressure. A few players now have spoken along the lines of they're not scared of pressure anymore. It seems that way anyway. Even us in the Netherlands game where they've competed badly, there was no doom and gloom. It was get on with the next thing. Is it fair to say that South Africa's idea or how they internalize pressure has improved, has changed?
It's a tough question to answer. I think you will probably get more and more insight as to where we stand with that as the competition progresses. But just to your point, I thought the way the guys bounced back after the disappointment of the Dutch game was awesome. I don't think we could have played a better game of cricket following a defeat. But as you said, for me, the language in the team was positive. The way we went about our prep was outstanding. So there was a really great lens to the loss. we actually had some great conversations on the back of the loss that I think carried us forward. And then, the result could have been different, and then would we have been having a different conversation, and LBW went our way, one went against us. But we got over the line. I think for me, as I said, the most important thing was, and heartening thing was to see how some of the guys played under pressure, and that we managed to find a way to get over the line. So I would suspect that we'll be tested a number of times again in however many games we've got left in this competition. And if we manage to do it again and again, I think we will start to accept that we were getting better at winning key moments in pressurized games.
Thanks, Telford. Stu, then Ken.
Thanks, Lucy. Hi, Rob. Sort of a double question here. How much do you know about Rachin Ravindra, who's really sort of lit up this tournament? Give us a bit of insight into what kind of player he's like, and also just more broadly on New Zealand as well. I mean, they've got a couple of stars, but they always seem to be a team that's like the sum of all their parts. Just some of that sort of culture and what it is that you guys will be up against, given that background.
I mean, I've played against Rachin for 7 years, or maybe a little less. He's not that old. So the last 5 years. And then took the New Zealand A side to India last year, roughly the same sort of time. So, and Rachin was on that tour. So I know Rachin pretty well. Look, he's a guy that works hard on his game, probably harder than a lot of young cricketers that I know. Loves the game, fully invested in the game. So to be honest with you, I'm not very surprised to see the results that he's delivered in this World Cup. He's worked exceptionally hard just to get a chance. I think that's probably the strength of the New Zealand side is it's not easy to get a game. It's not easy to get into a World Cup squad. So he's someone who's worked pretty hard to get there. In terms of their makeup as a side, I think that the New Zealand side have gone beyond the times where people couldn't understand how they achieved the results that they achieved. I think they're a very good side now. Don't see many holes in their makeup. A lot of depth in different positions. For the most part, highly experienced cricketers that have played a lot and achieved a lot. Played in a lot of World Cup finals across different formats, and so they understand how to win games of cricket. That's what makes them a quality team, and you don't just get to finals and semi-finals of competitions. I don't know how many tournaments it is consecutively now that they've done that without doing something right and without playing good cricket. So as I said, what a cool opportunity for us to go and play against them in the next game, given where the competition's at, and play a really hard-fought game of cricket.
Yeah, accepting the challenge. I like that.
Thanks, Stu. Ken, then we're going to go the last couple, like 3 questions after that. So, Ken, go ahead.
Thanks, Lucy. How's it, Rob? Congrats on the campaign so far. Just on the Pakistan game, and just following up from what you said about Tail and how they could have maybe thrown caution to the wind at the end there. Just before that came about, I think the required run rate was always, under control, fairly comfortable for you guys. Was the team a bit unhappy that in that period there were expansive shots, or was it a case of backing the way that you've played the whole time, and sometimes it's not going to come off, sometimes those sort of risky options don't come off?
Look, I think you can't celebrate scoring 400 and playing that way and then bemoan guys making errors in an attempt to maintain the way we play the game. I mean, that said, I don't think there's one batter that I've spoken to that hasn't sort of critically analysed his dismissal or his performance and seek to be better. So for us, it's just continually speaking about the options that we're taking. Are they the right options given the conditions? There's an element of where the game's at that feeds into your options that you take. A batsman hardly ever gets out and walks off thinking like there was nothing he could have done. Very seldom does the dismissal fit into the bowler skills box, and maybe that's got a lot to do with batters' egos, but they generally think they could have been better or done better, and I don't think we're any different in this instance. So we keep asking the questions, were there other options that we could have taken in that situation given those conditions? Could we have done it better? The answer is obviously yes on a number of those counts. But again, if we're going to climb on top of Heinrich Klaassen for playing an aggressive shot, then we can't celebrate when he scores 170 or 80 balls or whatever it is, because that's the method that he's used. What we want him to do is just continually assess where he's at, where the conditions are at, who he's competing against, and looking to take the best option in front of him, And we're not robots, so we are going to get that wrong from time to time.
Something that I've said quite regularly on the show about our chasing and how we can perhaps change that or improve that during a tournament, because it's not something necessarily we can work on in the middle of a tournament exactly and get it nailed on and perfect. The way South Africa sets up an innings and when they bat first, it is almost set up in a way that you would set up a chase too, in my opinion. Kind of lay a platform and then give our middle order a cushion to be able to play their free flowing game to try and get the most amount of runs on the board. I think we should structure our chase the same way. Let our openers lay a platform, let them get themselves in, bat as deep as possible, lay a foundation, and then allow our middle order to come in and take the game away and chase the remaining runs. If we bat the way we've batted when we've batted first, we will almost always be in a strong position to chase scores, because the chances are, because we're scoring such big runs totals batting first, the chances are that we are not going to chase the same amount of runs that we've been setting for other teams. So we are going to get certain situations where we can bat the same way. And I think if South Africa sticks to their guns and the way they play, the blueprint that they play this game with, particularly with the bat, then I feel that they will be able to chase any score if they focus on those type of things. So we need to be able to stay calm and avoid like mistakes, because ultimately in the last game against Pakistan, it was poor shot selection that lost us wickets. That is something that we need to work on, is because that remaining calm in those under pressure is important, but also choosing the right selections. It's the same with our bowling. The execution is the problem. We pick the wrong balls to bowl, or at a particular time in the match when the pressure's on. Um, Sometimes sticking to a positive mindset isn't going to be glorious. That was my criticism of the way England play, because regardless of your style of brand that overall you want to play with regards to the game, you need to also adapt it according to the match situation. You can't just go with the same mindset and expect it just to miraculously work if you just persist. So that's something that they also need to do with regards to that.
Thanks, Ken. We're going to go last three, starting with Zahir, followed by Neil, and then wrap with Fidos.
How's it, Rob? Just basically a follow-up on Stewart's question. Having been in New Zealand and seen the way they go about their business, you mentioned that they experience, but they do find often an unheralded individual who just puts his hand up. You look at Nabi, haven't batted at 3 before he comes in. He has a World Cup like he has. Jimmy Neesham doesn't play a couple of games. He gets close to a match-winning 70. Just what is the psyche within that New Zealand domestic setup within in their Black Cap squad that they seem to find, whether or Dale Mitchell, for example, as well, guys who just put their hands up when the pressure's at its fiercest.
I think and maybe not so much in the case of Rachin, but if you look at a guy like Daryl Mitchell, the strength of their setup, I think, is that the guys have to play a lot of cricket domestically before they do eventually get a shot at international, and Daryl's a great example of that. I played against him from my year one in New Zealand. Yet it's only in the last 2 years where he's become an unbelievable international cricketer. So I think the last World Cup, the average age was the highest in the competition, and I think they'd be pretty close to it if they didn't have the youngsters like Rachin in there. So yeah, I think the experience, the fact that they've played a hell of a lot of cricket in order to just get a shot at the Black Caps team, and then when you step into that side, the pressure, whenever there's pressure from beneath, it always pushes up performance, because you've got to perform well to keep your position. So that, along with, I think they've become very comfortable with the team that they are, and the way that they play the game. So yeah, you put those two things together, you generally get a positive result.
Rob, just to follow up on that, if you look at your side, it's a very similar bunch of guys who played a lot of domestic cricket before they've got to play international cricket. Do you see similar patterns in your squad?
I think the same could be said certainly for the batting unit. Those are experienced guys that have played together a lot and played a lot of international cricket. We've obviously got a couple of youngsters in the bowling department. I think they bring a great fresh energy into the environment. They've done, to be honest, exceptionally well in this campaign so far. And then that's wrapped around with some experienced heads who've played, a fair bit of cricket internationally as well. So not huge dissimilarities. I think the balance of the squads look a little bit different, but from an actual experience and caps, I suppose, under the belt, probably looks fairly similar. Makes for a great game, I reckon.
Thanks, Sahir. Neil, then last one from Fidos.
Hello, Rob. I just wondered how you've been spending this. Probably going to be the only time you have 2 days off, or maybe there'll be another opportunity. But as you know, it's a long tournament, 45 days. I just wondered, we tend to forget, because we can go walking around and go to markets and go for a run, and you've got to sort of check into security and that kind of thing. So how have you been switching off, or have you just been fully invested in watching the other games and doing your research, and you can switch off after the tournament?
I've been switching off by giving my 2 sons throwdowns at the swimming pool, so certainly my shoulder hasn't switched off, but that's my off time, is just spending time with them. That said, if you love the game and if you're a cricket nuffy, then you tend to find yourself watching it most of the time anyway. So always have one eye on the cricket, one eye on what's going on, certainly knowing that there's a number of teams that have been playing that'll be our next opposition. And seeing if there's any information on ground, on venues that we're going to play at, versus as well as oppositions that we're going to play at. Certainly a strong emphasis on our players getting away for a couple of days from the game. As you said, it's not easy to go out, so potentially getting away from the game by going to see different things or leaving the hotel is and can be quite tough. However, it's fortunate that the players' partners have arrived just recently, so we've been able to connect as a larger family, and players have been able to step away from the game and spend some time with their spouses or girlfriends. So for me, that's been great to see, and great to see the sort of larger family that the Proteas are right now. And had our meetings, some of our meetings today. We'll pick it up tomorrow with our training as well. And it's not around a skill development thing right now. In where we are in the tournament, it's really about being mentally and physically fresh for battle.
Great.
Interesting.
Thanks, Neil. Fidos?
So the families are now have joined the team as well. So could go either way. Could be a great thing as well for them to be able to just switch off from the game and have that support structure with them, that they're not fully on their own. Particularly the wives and the kids and stuff like that can be a great help for them. So that's something that's interesting, extra knowledge maybe that we know. Yeah, let's see what how he ended off the espresso before we get into the live chat.
Thanks, Lucy. Hi, Rob. Rob, just another kind of bigger picture question. I mean, I guess we're getting to the point of the tournament where it's becoming relatively clear which teams will make the semi-finals and which teams are probably out. Did you expect England, for example, to end up in the situation?
Wow.
Sorry, I'm very distracted here because I'm actually at the Afghanistan game. And the situation where they are, and a team like Afghanistan to be performing the way that they have.
I don't think anyone would have expected England to be in this position, to be fair. Similar names on the sheet that won the World Cup just 4 years ago. Yeah, you could potentially look at their results, specifically in the last year, and where I think their win percentage is just under 50%, excluding the World Cup, so a bit less now. And maybe that's a bit of insight into how the game's been going, but they're quality players, and yeah, as I said, I don't foresee anyone having thought that they'd be languishing at the bottom. As far as Afghanistan goes, to be dead honest, no surprise for me. Got some quality spinners in particular in their team. If you follow their progress and the way they've been playing cricket, I suppose if you're watching cricket a lot, you know what you're looking at. You know there's quality players in their team that are able to deliver match-winning performances, and they, given from where they've come, they've had to play a lot of high-pressurized environments in order to progress through the ranks to be where they are now. So, yeah, in short, no real surprise, and if they don't upset a few more teams in the last little while, as long as it's not us, of course, I wouldn't be surprised at all.
So a lot of questions to Rob about opposition teams and and other teams. I can understand the New Zealand questions because of his time that he spent in New Zealand, etc., as a coach, etc., and that. So obviously, getting some insight from his perspective is great, and I was hoping that you would maybe dive in a little bit more on that and give us maybe some insight as fans on what we can expect from the New Zealand side based on his experience, maybe working with some of the players. But we didn't get that. So let me get into the live chat and see what you guys also have to say. Is should bring back KG in place of Shamsi against New Zealand. I wouldn't drop Shamsi now, especially going into Pune against New Zealand. I wouldn't drop Shamsi. That wicket does seem that it doesn't spin, but the spinners were very good against Sri Lanka today. So, and Shamo had a great game the last game, taking 4 wickets. So I just think our team's a lot more balanced with the two spinners. Burger saying Booker. Sabir saying, we hope we bat first. New Zealand can chase. They can bat first, and they can bat first while going to be a proper tough team to play against. That's very true. Can we get the double over the Kiwis? It would be great to do so. Shamsi, one man of the match. You want to drop him. Make it make sense, please. Like the answer, one should always look at games against top sides as an opportunity to test yourself against the best. That's true. I'd only make one change in the to the 11 kg in Lungi out. Yes, Lungi has been great so far, but in my opinion, Shamo is a must in every game from now on in, and Kutsia is gone in those middle overs by taking regular wickets. It's going to be a very difficult decision between Lungi and Gerald. Lungi holds the experience. He's had a very good tournament thus far. He does look a little bit. He does seem to be a little bit. How can I say? Get. He does seem to get very fatigued in between, like very quickly in matches. Though that's the one concern I have. Gerald seems to go for a lot of runs, although he does bowl well in the second power play. So there's negatives and positives for both. I always tend to tip towards the experience because of the opponents that we're playing against. So it will be a difficult decision for the coach to make. We're also getting into a stage of the tournament where you must play your players who are in form now. We made a magnificent start to the tournament. We can't let selections lose us unnecessary games. Was this a Springbok presser? One question should have been enough. I hope he said don't panic in a run chase, says Arvind. Shama looked like he didn't know how to bat. While the Springboks went into the 2019 Rugby World Cup not as a fan favorites, low in the rankings, but something just worked that year and they went all the way. I feel the Proteas can be world champs realistically, says Larry. Lorenzo says all three of our last games are huge games. We definitely can't underestimate Afghanistan. They won again today, so they're running. They have huge momentum and they actually have quality cricketers. They really do. Afghanistan today was a perfect example of how to go about chasing. Really impressed with what I saw today. They went in with with a clear plan. You don't have to go guns blazing into a chase. You can bat responsibly. Like I said, the way South Africa sets up innings is the way we should chase in the same manner. It's similar. Like we go about scoring massive 400s and massive 300s in games. The chances of us chasing 300, 400 is not going to be necessarily always the case. Like Netherlands, it wasn't a massive total to chase. If we focused on batting the way we bat when we bat first, with the same mentality, because of our middle order can kick on later on. We've got guys that can score at the back end. Just lay your foundation first. That should be the first step. That is, as if we can just get this off our shoulders and win it, with the SA20 tournament sparkling more interest in the game, it would be great for the game here in SA. We also can't lose to Afghanistan before the semi-finals, as that will put us under enormous pressure and huge pressure from the whole of SA as well. And that might be where we crack. So beating Afghanistan is a must, in my opinion. Steady on with we are not scared of pressure. Telford, early days, still need to sit. No, need to show this more. How can we improve? I answered that question basically already early on. Both Scott should pride themselves as they could end India's winning streak. That's a big one. Hopefully they can. That would be great, says Larry. Against Pakistan, pressure wasn't the issue. Wow, top six chucked their wickets away. It was due to poor shot selection, 100%, which leads to lack of mentality. Calculated positivity is the key, not stupidity. Don't really agree with Rob there. Being positive wasn't the issue, but stupidity can be avoided. Klaasen, Markram, Bavuma, and Quintercock threw it away. If Rob thinks it's okay, we should be worried. I don't think he said he thinks it's okay. I think he said that, if I remember correctly, that each of these players criticized the way they lost their wickets quite in detail to see what happened. But it was poor shot selection ultimately. Rubalo says we need to find a different blueprint. Only Temba, Kwani, and Heine are good chasers. So somehow we need at least two of them to fire and one to bat long. I would throw David Miller into the mix there as well as Aiden, based on how they've chased in domestic cricket. So SA20 and domestically for the Titans. And David Miller has done it for South Africa quite a bit. Our chase against Pakistan never required us to bat at 8 runs per over. Exactly. We got ourselves into trouble. I think Rob was just trying to protect his batters in the presser, but deep down he knows we messed up a bit. Sometimes it's okay to play boring cricket. Our net run rate was already great. Was simply needed to be a bit boring against Pakistan. 100%. I agree with you. In my opinion, if we win the toss, we should stick with what's working for us, and that's batting first. Batting first will also bring both our spinners even more into the game. My bowling attack is Maka Jansen, KG, Clinton, Jero Kutsia, Keshav Maharaj, Tabray Shamsi, and Aiden Markram. You cannot leave out Lungi. Apart from the power play against Pakistan, he has bowled well and has partnered Marco with the new ball very, very well. And I can see that point of view 100%. Chase between 240 to 80 must always be seen as bat 50 overs and we win the game. Boring, I know, but in World Cup it's the 2 points that matters more than winning a game in 30 overs. True. We all know India loves chasing, and just look how bang average they looked against the low on confidence England. There's no way they'll want to bat first again unless conditions says otherwise, of course. Not going to lie, but what Rob just said regards to the chase against Pakistan is a bit worrying. Maybe I'm reading too much into it. I must have missed that, Lawrence. I didn't see anything alarming from my side. You also can't leave Gerald out. He's taking regular wickets in the second power play, and he gives us more batting depth. In my opinion, he's also fitter than Lungi in these conditions. Lungi blow blows after 2 overs, and yeah, that's something that I've noticed about him is that he does seem to be getting quite tired, um, and he might be carrying a little bit of a injury, I think, as well, or tightness from a previous injury. Gerald also has 12 wickets in the tournament and some big wickets as well. The guy is our Anrich at this World Cup. New Zealand brought Kane when he wasn't fully fit. Couldn't SA do the same with Anas? No, we couldn't because he had too much of a bad injury. It wasn't something that he could recover in time for it, and it would have been a waste of a potential spot in the team because then you couldn't have rested anybody. He plays that enforcer role so well. Are we going to do the Isahaka by the practice call, the Chakalaka? I saw that earlier. It's time to break the shackle against New Zealand. Three key wickets, Conway, Ravindra, and Mitchell out them quickly and win the match. Need one more win to go through the semis. We are yet to qualify. Um, Big, it's not as simple as that. Afghanistan might beat Australia. Best chasers after India. Don't take them lightly. I should love to see some run from Temba, but if he doesn't score next two games, Khalid, what would you do? Riza Temba in semi-final. We're gonna have to make a very important decision when it comes to that. Khalid, I think we can't drop Gerald for KG. Those 10 runs scored by Gerald against Pakistan was crucial. He took 12 important wickets. We're gonna have to make a major decision on what we're gonna do with KG. Khalid, did Rob appreciated Aiden Markham especially? He didn't necessarily speak about Aiden, no. Indian bowling is lethal. Their batting, Shamsi is looking to me the man of the tournament, 9 wickets in 2 matches. Adam Markham was the main difference that SA won that day. Appreciate him trolling and trolling only. Khalid, did Rob appreciate? No, he didn't. Other teams detected South Africa's chasing vulnerability, so other teams will try to exploit that for sure. India is unbeaten not only because of their batting, mainly because of their bowling. And their bowling's been brilliant in these conditions. And also Mohammad Shami coming in and then just taking wickets like it's nothing. I think 2 games, 8 wickets or some crazy thing like, or 7 wickets, and something crazy like that. Cherukutsia should play ahead of Ngidi at the moment. Ngidi not looking great so far, says Suraj Kaiba. I don't know if it's not looking great. Not looking at his best, but he's still a brilliant bowler. And New Zealand have a good batting lower order, and Santner, Saudi, and Matt Henry are superb bowlers. If New Zealand lost to SA, then they will be at risk. Even Australia keep Travis Head with them, and look at now, Head's scored magnificent century in his comeback against New Zealand. Yeah, but Amrich isn't going to recover from a stress fracture like that so quickly. I don't think he would even be ready for the final, fitness wise. Ravindra is the best young talented to find of this tournament. I'm not scared of New Zealand top order. Since they're playing against SA, their lower might be dangerous, especially Nisham. We need to play both spinners going forward as Shamsi is bowling well, and I agree with that actually. Easy decision, dropping Gidi and bring KJ Rabada, says Suraj Campbell. I don't think it's as easy as that. Don't want a scenario like last year's T20 World Cup don't want our last game against Afghanistan as a knockout because of the obvious reasons. We need to win against New Zealand and try our best to beat India so that that last game doesn't become a high pressure game. Quinton have to play well against New Zealand, not a good record against them. If Tema don't perform in the next two matches, then he should have some mercy and be out of the team himself. Rabada, Kutsia, and Janssen should be out there for our fast bowlers going forward. New Zealand do both batting and bowling first, so they will definitely put us into bat if they win the toss. The same with Afghanistan. Um, there's an old school saying that batting wins you the series, but bowling wins you a trophy. Great line, and that might be the case with India. Let's see. Anyway, guys, thanks a lot for tuning in. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. We will be doing a preview for the game tomorrow. We will go into details about what we'd like to see with regards to the team, etc. I still think we need to pick our best players for conditions as well. It's very important that we still remain that and that we remain focused on that. The wicket today in Pune looked quite decent to bat on. I don't think Sri Lanka batted to their full potential on that wicket. Threw their wickets quite easily away. So I do think that a big score batting first is key. That's something that we need to look at as well when it comes to selection for this team, the mentality that we play with. But thanks a lot for tuning in, everybody. I hope you guys enjoyed this episode. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel. Please click that notification bell for all future videos. I'd also like you guys to please subscribe to Cricket Fanatics Magazine monthly. Every issue is 100% free, straight to your inbox every month. Link is on the screen as well as in the description. Become a patron today by clicking on the link on the screen and as well as in the description. That's how you can support us and everything we are doing here so that we can continuously produce shows for you guys as well on a regular basis. Also, smash the like button, comment, and share. And go to cricketfanaticsmag.com for all your regular updates. So I've been your host, Khalid. Thanks a lot for everybody for tuning in. And I hope you enjoyed this episode. We'll see you again tomorrow for a preview show. Stay safe. Enjoy the rest of the evening. Peace out.